definitely the biggest music news story going on, that iTunes is going to be killed by Apple come 2019. You're surprised by this. Andrew's surprised by this.
To say the least.
Just shocked. They're shocked.
Completely.
The studio's appalled. But yeah, Lauren had this on Facebook, and I wanted to address it. It's a pretty big story, and it's gotten some pretty big denials from Apple themselves. So the source of this came from Digital Music News, who, by the way, has been sort of waving this flag since 2016. Since 2016, they said that Apple was going to be killing the iTunes store. By the way, I mean, we don't have to talk about how influential the iTunes store has been, revolutionizing music, the 99-cent song, everything that Steve Jobs did to create this monsoon of music, just listening and all that stuff, sharing the digital revolution. A lot of people outside of Napster credit, iTunes for the digital music consumption. But it doesn't come out of, the rumors, the story from Digital Music News doesn't come out of thin air. Now, they put this whole huge report together saying that the tanking sales of downloads is the contributing factor, and that Apple was maybe going to let it stick around for a little while longer. But they've now started this, quote unquote, 2-year plan to bring iTunes down and convert everybody over to Apple Music. That is the plan that Digital Music News is reporting about. Now, Apple has come out flat out and said, and they just released a statement to 9to5mac.com, which for all you Apple fans out there is a great website to get, what Apple's up to, rumors, things like that. And they clearly distinct news from rumors on 9to5mac, which is why it's a great site. But Apple has come out and said, quote, simply not true. That was literally their statement to 9to5Mac, simply not true. But Digital Music News, after hearing this even, have doubled down on this, saying not only is it true, but we're told it's on schedule. DMN says, and I quote, one source has repeatedly insisted that the plan not only exists, but that it is on schedule or even ahead of the original schedule. Now, the reason why I think Digital Music News has really sort of gotten into this is the absolute collapse, if you will, of digital downloads. They are plummeting. And the two contributing factors, believe it or not, one, the obvious one, is streaming, which makes sense why they want to convert all their purchasers into streamers. But the other one actually is physical sales. Physical sales, because of vinyl, are actually on the rise. So all these reasons lead to the fact that people are just flat out downloading music less. It's there, and there's some pretty appalling numbers to all of this, by the way. The percentage that downloading has fallen is unbelievable. We'll get into it. The current timetable for the termination is by 2019, shortly after the 2018 season. So they're saying by this time next year, they're going to get that last gasp of purchases in, and then they're going to slowly convert everybody once 2019 begins to try and get everybody over to the Apple streaming music. The move may be driven by data. This comes from Digital Music News. According to details shared by Nielsen, paid downloads are crashing in 2017. During the first 6 months of the year, track downloads collapsed 24% in the U.S., while digital albums slipped 19.9%. Both formats likely to drop 30% or more in 2018, eventually winnowing away something negligible. So those numbers are just plummeting. I think there was something like $3 billion in sales, $3 billion in digital downloads in 2016, I believe was the number, or 2015. And then the following year, that estimate shrunk all the way down to $600 million. Think about that. $3 billion one year to $600 million the next year. That is a crash, my friends. That is a crash. With the speed that music is moving, it is unbelievable. From cassette tapes to CDs to the MP3, and now the MP3, essentially being, up against the ropes. It's unbelievable how fast the music format, has transitioned. I mean, blink of an eye. I thought that CDs were in and out far quicker than I ever thought they were. I thought we were going to be listening to CDs forever. And those, and then let's not forget like mini discs and all these other little tiny things that popped up. But streaming seems to be the way to go. Now, Apple is flat out denying it, and I don't blame them, because what else are you going to do? Like, nobody's going to really go out and buy music, if they think that, the way in which they do that is, no longer going to be there. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. 3.9 billion sales in 2012. The projection for 2019 is $600 million. That's crazy. As of October of this year, media analysts estimate that 132 million people subscribe to streaming music services, a figure that outpaces Netflix subscriptions. So more people have subscribed to music streaming services than video streaming, which is kind of super interesting, seeing as that all you really hear about is Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu. You don't really hear too much about people, talking about I'm on Spotify or you hear it, but not as much, I think, not as much chatter as you do with the video streaming services. Now, the other interesting part about this is Apple is expanded into television shows, and they're trying to produce original content. They had Planet of the Apps, which by all accounts kind of flopped, and James Corden's Carpool Karaoke, which again didn't really achieve the buzz that most people would assume. And I think that's all because people aren't really used to, even though it's Apple and they have a lot of fans, people aren't used to watching TV shows on a service called Apple Music. That's not exactly going to fly. But I'm curious to get your thoughts in the comments as we post this. What do you think is going to happen? Because Digital Music News says it's on, and Apple Music is saying, no, I don't think so. Hold on. Now, I think whether it's in 2019 or 2020 or 2021, whatever it's going to be, downloads are going to go for sure. I mean, think about it. Even myself, as somebody who downloads off the iTunes store, as far as physical space goes on my iPhone, and I got the new iPhone 10, I'm using less and less of it. I'm using more of the Apple Cloud that I'm provided for music. I noticed that even when I get in my car and I start my car and my phone connects to my car stereo via Bluetooth, it brings up songs that I never put on my phone, but that I have bought and that are sitting on my iPad and my iTunes account on my Mac, because it's streaming them now all through the cloud. Even though I downloaded it and I bought it, it's put a copy of it in my cloud, and that has transferred over to my phone as soon as I get in my car. So it just makes sense to avoid that process of buying the music, downloading it, having it on my thing. If all my accounts are gonna be linked everywhere anyway, what's the difference really? What's the difference really? But it really is changing the landscape of music. Like, where are we going with music right now? Obviously, streaming is next, but where do you go after that? It's kind of crazy to think about. I mean, one day we're not even going to be worried about listening to music. We're going to be putting on, augmented reality glasses like the Pokemon game, and we're going to be sitting inside the Foo Fighters music video. That's what's going to happen. Forget about, just streaming music. We're going to be in our self-driving Priuses, getting drone deliveries from Amazon, wearing our augmented glasses, talking about these glasses are annoying. I can't wait till we have just augmented contacts, sitting next to Dave Grohl as he sings Everlong. That's literally where we're going to be in 10 years. So for anybody to fight, the denials that they're going to get rid of downloading, I think is just kind of silly, even though Apple is doing it. But I believe strictly from a business standpoint. Again, we're in the holiday season for 2017. They have another one coming up next year. Why would they say this is true? I mean, a flat out denial is the only hand that Apple is able to play here in order to keep their business moving, which again, 3.9 in 2012, 3.9 billion down to 600 million. You can see here that is steadily declining. Now, Digital Music News says that they are going to be converting everybody over to Apple Music, that they're going to basically, if you're signed into iTunes to download something, the next time you go to sign in, you'll be just signed into Apple Music. And with a price tag of what, $9.99 a month? I mean, really, that's one album if you buy. It kind of makes sense. The article goes on to point out that people would be pretty upset if they were automatically signed up for a service that costs them $10 a month. But when you think about it, if you're buying music, I mean, as much as I consume music, I'm spending way more than that on downloading anyway a month. It just makes sense savings-wise to be there. Audio files, we can't even get into you guys because you're going to be upset no matter what because the quality of all this kind of stinks anyway. So I think that's the next frontier. Everybody will be streaming instead of buying. And I think the next sort of evolution is to make those files better. I mean, think about how much better the Wi-Fi networks are around us, even when we go into public places. This is all part of that. If you can have better access to Wi-Fi streaming, obviously the quality of the music that you'll have will be better, but that has to come from the source, which of course is Apple. So it's a lot of tech nerdy stuff to think about and consider, but really when you get into it, where are we going in the future? How are we going to consume music? It's moving very fast. And again, to think that despite what Apple is saying, to think that you're still going to be able to go online and download an album is kind of crazy. Because like I said, when you think about it now, I download an album through my own iTunes account. It in the cloud puts it everywhere for me anyway. I no longer have to say, oh, I want this to be on my phone and I want this to be on my computer and I want this one to be on my... I no longer have to do that. It goes everywhere for me anyway. I mean, they've already really started the process when you think about it. So kind of crazy to think about where we are and where we're going to be. And again, augmented reality glasses. If you think Pokemon game was the end of that, you're sadly mistaken. Like I said, forget the glasses. One day contacts, and we're going to be in there, and we're going to look to the right, and we're going to see Dave Grohl, and we're going to look to the left, and we're going to see Jimi Hendrix, and you're going to think, I don't know, and then you're going to touch Jimi Hendrix on the shoulder, and Jimi Hendrix catalog is going to start playing in our self-driving Priuses as we get a pizza delivery from Amazon Pizza Hut via drone. That is where we're going, my friends.